The father suddenly realized the homeless man was actually his son, but he didn't go up to say hi, and even when he saw his son being bullied by a security guard, he wanted to leave without a second thought, because his son was a drug addict, and he didn't want anything to do with him. But his son still recognized him.
Dad?
He wanted to pretend he didn't see him, but his son chased right after him. However, what no one could have ever imagined is that this very drug addict, with the help of a cat, would have his life changed completely. After James got addicted to drugs, his family cut ties with him. With no income, he had to busk on the streets. Yet after a whole day's work, he couldn't even afford a single box meal. He could only beg the boss for a discount. Surprisingly, the boss was totally disgusted, and even threw the food away, rather than selling it to him. Amidst the boss's cursing, James slowly picked up his loose change. To fill his stomach, James had to dig through the trash for something to eat, and it seemed he was already used to living like this. At night, James went back to his subsidized housing, and was about to take a hot bath. But right then, there was a noise outside. James got really nervous, thinking it was a burglar. He stepped out carefully to check, only to find a little kitten. Maybe feeling they were in the same boat, James didn't chase the cat away. Instead, he poured him some milk, and after the cat was full, he treated the place like his own home and refused to leave. Having no choice, James took him in temporarily. The next day, he took the cat out to find its owner, but after a long search, no one claimed him. That's when James realized he was a stray. Left with no options, he had to let the cat go. It wasn't that he didn't want to adopt him. He couldn't even feed himself right now, so how could he take good care of a cat? However, when James returned home that night, he saw the cat had come back, and he was injured. James immediately rushed him to the vet. Fortunately, he was treated in time, and the cat was mostly fine, but the medical bill was $22. With no other choice, he took out the only money he had on him. That was his living expenses for the whole week. But for the cat, he paid it anyway. After this incident, James decided to adopt the cat, and named him Bob. And he never could have guessed that this one small act would bring such a massive change to his life. The next day, James took the bus downtown to busk as usual. To his surprise, Bob secretly followed him on board. The passengers on the bus were instantly drawn to this cute cat. Following the scent, Bob quickly found James. James was really surprised. Luckily, the bus conductor didn't mind, and even gave him a leash. Once they reached downtown, it was super crowded. To keep Bob safe, he had to carry him on his shoulders. Unexpectedly, this unique look instantly caught people's attention. A lot of people even came up to say hi and take pictures. And when James started performing, the crowd was dozens of times larger than usual. James never thought there'd be a day when so many people would pay attention to him, and give him so many tips. In just one morning, he made as much money as he usually did in a week. Who knew Bob would turn out to be a lucky charm? To thank Bob for his help, James didn't hesitate to buy him a bunch of canned food, and he also bought him a new leash. And Bob seemed to have some kind of magic. Wherever he went, he became the center of attention. Ever since James got Bob, his life slowly started getting better. But this sparked jealousy among the other homeless people. One day, while James and Bob were performing on the street, a man deliberately let his dog pee on James's bag. This out-of-line behavior was too much even for the onlookers, who all stepped up to support James. Unexpectedly, this caused an even bigger commotion. In the end, the police had to get involved. Even though James didn't throw a punch, the whole thing started because of him. Ultimately, the police banned him from busking on the streets for 6 months. This meant he completely lost his source of income. If it were just him, he could probably scrape by, but he also had Bob. So he found another job selling magazines. Being an introvert, he lacked confidence in this job. Fortunately, Bob was still a lucky kitten. Passers-by were drawn to Bob's cute looks, and eagerly asked to take pictures. And in return, they generously buy a magazine. Just like that, James became popular again, all thanks to Bob. Someone posted a video of them online, and as soon as the video went live, it immediately got a massive amount of attention. Just as things were slowly looking up, they ran into a difficult mother and son one day. They took a liking to Bob, and even offered to buy him. But to James, Bob wasn't just a pet. He was an indispensable part of his family. He might be a homeless man, but his cat was not for sale.
How much for your kid? I'll trade you.
Seeing James wasn't playing along, the woman instantly got furious. Plus, with a dog barking wildly nearby, the scene quickly descended into chaos. Spooked, Bob jumped off James's shoulders and vanished into the crowd in a flash. Even though James chased after him right away, he still couldn't catch Bob. He searched for a whole day, checking almost every corner of the city, but still couldn't find a single trace of him. Because of Bob's disappearance, James started having an emotional breakdown. His heart felt incredibly empty. For someone in rehab, this was undoubtedly a total disaster. He stood by the window every day, hoping Bob would come home soon. However, one day he saw a man selling drugs. Feeling utterly hollow, he couldn't help but walk over. But right at that moment, he thought of Bob. So the words on the tip of his tongue changed to this.
I'm looking for a ginger cat. Have you seen it anywhere?
Bob had saved him once again, yet he didn't even know where Bob was. James was in agony. But just then, he noticed Bob had somehow appeared on the windowsill. He hugged Bob tightly, overwhelmed with emotion, soaking in the joy of having him back. And after this ordeal, he made up his mind to get clean for good. to give Bob and himself a real home. The doctor warned him that once he stopped taking his medication, it was going to be an excruciatingly painful process, especially for someone like him who was just starting out. Without incredibly strong willpower, it'd be super hard to pull through, but James was very confident, because he believed Bob would give him that strength. However, when the withdrawal actually kicked in, the pain was way worse than he had imagined. He couldn't stop his limbs from twitching, and collapsed weakly on the floor. What was even harder to bear was the feeling of countless ants biting at his body. This sensation made every single second a living hell. Luckily, Bob stayed by his side the whole time. Whenever he felt like he couldn't hold on and wanted to quit, Bob would pull him back from the edge of hell with a single meow. With Bob's help, James finally kicked his drug habit for good. Even the doctor found it completely unbelievable. James knew he owed it all to Bob. After getting sober, he reached out to his dad. His dad pulled a childhood photo of him out of his wallet, and sincerely apologized to him. For all these years, he hadn't fulfilled his duties as a father, but he had always cared about James in his heart.
Jack, what are you doing out there?
I'm talking to my son and my grandson.
With a joke like that, the years of estrangement between father and son completely vanished, and James's story caught the media's attention, and their story was even turned into a book. As soon as the book was published, it drew the attention of countless people. On the day of the book launch, tons of fans flocked there, just to catch a glimpse of the real Bob. Now here comes the question. I want to see your Bob too.